The latest intergenerational report claims the Australian economy will take a $423 billion hit thanks to global warming reducing our wheat production, causing more natural disasters and making our beaches so undesirable that tourists will stay away. Let's bring in Nationals MP for Bundaberg, Keith Pitt. According to this report, Keith, climate change will reduce labour productivity so much that our economic output will be slashed by between 135 and 423 billion. That's quite a large discrepancy there in the predictions. What do you make of this report?
Rita, when's the last time you remember the Weather Bureau getting the forecast wrong for tomorrow? No matter in 4 decades' time. And this is clearly a stunt, right? Jim Chalmers has brought this report forward by 3 years. I mean, will we have another one next year, given that we've shortened up the forecast? It's so important. You don't need them every 5 years now. Most of the people I'm talking to, they're struggling inside the next 40 hours, 4 days, 4 weeks, 4 months to pay their mortgages. And we know what this is about. This intergenerational report will be used by the Labor Treasurer to beat the Australian taxpayer around the ears and pilfer more of their hard-earned pay.
Now, we've got farmers and landowners in New South Wales and Victoria gearing up for a bitter fight over new power lines that are being built for renewable energy transition. Some farmers are being offered compensation to host these overhead transmission lines. These are ugly, ugly structures. A set amount they're going to receive, which they're told not to reveal, plus $200,000 per kilometre. But, Keith, will this be enough to sway farmers who say the lines make it harder to farm, they devalue their properties, disturb wildlife and, not to mention, ruin the landscape, those beautiful country views?
It'll be enough to keep putting your electricity prices up, Rita, I can guarantee you that. 200,000 in Victoria per pole, 300,000 per transmission tower in Queensland is the forecast I've seen in reports. They just don't want them there. It makes it very difficult. There's a very large easement that goes with it that has to be kept clear. You can't generally operate under super HV at 500,000 volts. These are some of the voltages they're talking about. Queensland at the moment, from memory, is around 275,000 volts. It's significant. It does devalue your property. And it just makes things very, very hard. We saw protests in front of the Queensland Parliament this week, organised by Michelle Landry, the member for Capricornia, and Good Honour, and Lou O'Brien. And those people lost a day's pay, a day's work to get down to Brisbane, and the Premier didn't even bother to come out and see them. These are real concerns from real people. They're having real impacts, and it's unnecessary. This is all off the back of Chris Bowen's climate ideology.
Now to a piece penned by former MP Nicole Flint for skynews.com.au, where she is critical of the AFL and its focus on social engineering when it's neglecting the basic. This comes after the Adelaide Crows were denied a chance to make the AFL finals because of a goal umpiring error. Nicole writes, when Australia's wealthiest sporting code, the AFL, can't get the basics of the game right, you know it's time to stop virtue signalling and get back to core business. Keith, we know the big corporates are backing the voice and backing it strongly, and so are the sporting codes. And we're not just talking about the AFL here, the NRL, Tennis Australia, Cricket Australia. What will be the impact of that activism? And is Nicole right? Should they get back to running their organisations and leave the referendum to Australian voters?
Nicole is absolutely right. If you look at those that went to Gama, from memory, the corporate tickets were $5,000 each, plus travel. I know a lot of grassroots teams who would love $5,000 to help them buy kit for the kids who are coming up through the sport, whether it's AFL or others. I'll try not to be a hypocrite here, Rita. I'm a rugby league man, not AFL. But it's pretty fundamental. We saw Manly last year through gay pride jerseys lose a number of players. They were in contention for finals. They missed out. We see this across the sport. Everyone I talk to, they just want to see the best players on the field, the best game for the sport that they support, the things that they want to watch. And they really should get out of the way here. The referendum that's coming up will be decided by the Australian people, every single one of voting age, not corporates.
Well said, Keith Pitt. Thank you so much for your time this evening.